top 10 countries with largest economies in 2050. Number 10. United Kingdom. The UK is currently the world's 5th largest economy, but it will slip down to 10th place in the next few years. It will still be doing much better than France, which is estimated to slip down to 12th place. The PwC expects Brexit to affect the UK economy in the short term, but remains bullish over the long run, thanks to its steady economic growth and growing working residents. The United Kingdom GDP will be $5.4 trillion by 2050. Number 9. Germany. Currently Germany is the 4th largest economy only behind the US, China, and Japan. It will slip down to 9th place as emerging countries such as India, Indonesia, and Brazil overtake it. The country's economic growth is expected to slow down in the coming decades as the working age population declines. The massive influx of immigrants in the last few years is not going to help much. Germany's GDP will be $6.2 trillion by 2050. Number 8. Japan. Just a few decades ago, economists thought Japan was going to overtake the United States. Japan remains a technological and economic powerhouse and the 2nd largest economy in Asia, but the declining working age population has hampered its economic growth. PwC predicts the Japanese economy will witness the slowest growth of all the 32 largest economies through 2050. Its people are also expected to decline by 0.5% per year on average. Maybe the government would offer its people incentives to have more children. Japan's GDP will be $6.8 trillion by 2050. Number 7. Mexico. Mexico will continue to grow at a healthy rate over the next 3 to 4 decades to become one of the world's top 10 largest economies. The current Mexican government has launched a series of economic reforms to strengthen the country's economy. Recent tensions with the U.S. over immigration, unlikely to hamper Mexico's financial experience of robust progress. Mexico's GDP will be $6.9 trillion by 2050. Number 6. Russia. Russia has a powerful military, but its economy currently doesn't rank in the top 10. PwC predicts Moscow will continue to make progress and become the 6th largest economy by 2050. Russia already has the institutions, infrastructure, leadership, and natural resources to support its growth in the long run. However, the country's declining population could hold it back. Russia's GDP will be $7.2 trillion by 2050. Number 5. Brazil. The Brazilian economy is not going to witness the same pace of growth as India, Indonesia, or Mexico. But Brazil will continue to grow steadily and become the 5th largest economy by 2050, from the current 9th spot in the top 10 list. Despite a higher nominal GDP, its per capita income is expected to decline slightly in the coming years as the number of inhabitants continues to go up. Brazil has struggled with high inflation rates in the past. Brazil GDP will be $7.5 trillion by 2050. Number 4. Indonesia. Indonesia will see explosive growth in the coming years, pushing developed nations such as the UK, Germany, and Japan out of the top 5. The Southeast Asian country has managed to reduce poverty and unemployment in the last few decades dramatically. Indonesia GDP will be $10.5 trillion by 2050. Number 3. United States. The US is currently the world's largest economy with China close behind. In terms of GDP, PPP, China is already ahead with $27.3 trillion versus $21.44 trillion in PPP for the US. In about a few years, it will slip down to 3rd place. Its relatively slow nominal GDP and inhabitants growth mean it won't be able to keep up with populous countries such as China and India and their goods and services industries. However, the US is still one of the most attractive countries in the world for business and dominates by the fact of holding the reserve currency. While the recovery from coronavirus has been slow, there has been an acceleration as of late. The country has a well-developed infrastructure, technological prowess, and an education system to support its growth. The United States GDP will be $34.1 trillion by 2050. Number 2. India. India is currently the world's second most populous country and the seventh largest economy. By 2050, its population will rise to 1.6 billion people, and its GDP based on PPP will reach $44.1 trillion. According to PwC, India will have the highest GDP growth rate in dollar terms over the next 3 decades, thanks to the growing working-age population, improving infrastructure, and manufacturing. More recent trends point to Indian services becoming even more dominant across the world. However, the impact of tensions between China and India must be accounted for in any economic analysis of future progress. India GDP will be $44.1 trillion by 2050. Number 1. China. China will not only have overtaken the US, but its economy will be much bigger than the US. According to the PwC report, its GDP will stand at around $58.5 trillion, compared to the US $34.1 trillion. The Asian giant will account for 20% of the world's economy, higher than India at 15% and the United States at 12%. It will have many aging residents, and it won't be able to enjoy the same pace of growth as it has in the last 4 decades. Even though China and India will be more significant than the US by 2050, their nominal per capita GDP will still be lower than the US due to higher residents. China's GDP will be $58.5 trillion by 2050.